Oh yeah, I sure love this thing. So, I'm here, but it's a bit of a voiceover because I want to spend the time on this video talking about the newest stuff we've done. There's been a lot of work done. Some of you have actually seen this thing running around at events. We've got to talk about these templates today and a whole other list of stuff, so let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is wiring. So, as you can see, the side panels are on. And I used the original Ryft side panels again, and I used an interesting flare of a decal kit that I found with a sort of a gunmetal colored paint on the back side of these Lexan side panels. And that actually gave it kind of a really cool stripy, I don't know, I really like the flare of that actually. That's just exactly what I was kind of looking for. And interestingly enough, the red ties in with the next new thing that we did, which is the seat harness. So if you can take a look in the back of the seat, you can see the harness is attached right to the tube work in there. And then that harness goes through the seats. There's the two pockets in the seats here for the 5-point harness. We picked those up on the last episode. If you go back to episode 5, we were talking about the seats and did a seat upgrade to let us put that harness in. And then of course the seat harness goes all the way around the driver, as it should, to the back of the frame behind the seat, again over here, way over here. And so he's in. And he's looking good. And the other thing that we did to this dude is we got him matched up with the steering wheel real good. So that was kind of important because, as you know, this steering wheel turns with the servo inside the dashboard, and so now his arms actually go with the steering servo, and that's super cool. His hands are on the wheel, but they're not actually glued on the wheel. They're just thumb and finger wrapped around like this. And so what happens is when the wheel goes up, this hand goes up. When the wheel goes up this way, this hand goes up. It's really cool. And so that works out perfect for him. He can't come out, and yet his arms are free enough that he can actually steer. And that brings us to the next upgrade, which is this whole roof. So I got on the 3D design software, and I basically made this spider roof for this thing. Really simple. It fits in between these two tubes right here across. And then it's got a new sweeper on both sides and a new front tube. But if you look at it straight on, the front tube, it's going to focus poorly, I'm sorry about that, but the front tube is actually high. There's a hoop that goes up. And what that lets me do is stick the FPV camera in there. This is the antenna, and the camera's here. And then the lens for the camera is there, and the lens points towards the dash and the front of the vehicle. So you can see the antenna and the camera right here. There's the camera. And then if you look all the way through here, this is the entrance through the glass, through the front windshield. So the camera actually picks up the dashboard here, and then the other dashboard here, it picks up the guy's hand steering, and it also picks up this light. So you remember when we were talking about the rollometer here on the dashboard, which is the pan and tilt measurement that it shows? There's a light that comes with that, which is now integrated right here into the roof panel. And this roof panel here has the light. The wiring goes down the side and into the control box. We showed that in the last electronics video. And so this is a multicolor LED, and it actually shines forward, which might seem really strange that the LED shines forward because it's green when you're just doing a great job and you're not tilted too far. And then it actually, as you tilt, it starts to turn orange. And it turns orange to let you know that you're getting to the limit of your truck going to tip over. And then just before it reaches that limit, it starts to flash. Except that because we're doing FPV on this with the screen, the FPV camera, when the LED was facing forward to the camera, it was just too bright. It was just clouding the whole camera. The LED was just blaring it out. So what I did is I faced the LED forward, and then it glows off of the front bar here. So you can still see it in the camera, but the way that you see it in the camera is actually with like a green or an orange or a flashing glow of color on the bar, instead of actually just having it block out all of the screen because the LED is directly in its face, you know. And then you can still read the dashboards and stuff, so that's working really, really well. All of these files will be on with the Patreon with all the rest of the 3D printed files. This top roof thing will go with that. As you know, we took out the front bars. The front windscreen used to have these two support bars that went across, and it was a low hoop in the front. And we got rid of all that in order to get more visibility here for the driver and the camera. So that's why that's all gone. And we talked about that in the previous videos. So I want to talk about wiring. As you can see, it's gone because of the side panels. But then we also did like a serious tidy up job in here. And this was kind of necessary. There's a lot of wiring going on in this thing. There's wires that go to the camera for power. There's wires that go to the light. There's wires for the rollometer and the dash panel and the servo and the receiver and the speed control. And it's brushless, of course, so 3 big wires for that. And so, boy, there's a lot going on. And basically, we wanted to tidy that up in a way that it kind of would disappear. So most of that is gone in the front, and the engine is currently out. So when the engine cover goes back in, this will mostly disappear. I'm going to make another little firewall cover for this area here, just out of black styrene, to get rid of all these wires, but that will fit after the motor's in. And then, as you can see, we have a new piece of checker plate in there. So cool. I had so much fun doing that. So that is actually made out of this. This is an RC 4-wheel drive aluminum checker plate sheet. And this is Canadian prices, of course. So my favorite Ontario hobby shop in Southern Ontario. If you're in Central Ontario, you would go to 110 Hobbies. And so this is really great. I got this checker box here, plate, sorry. And then I took a box and I made a template for it. So that piece that you see there is actually this cardboard template. And I'm going to do a video that's just on that, on how to make these. And then that's the sort of the surface tray here, the floor tray beside the driver. And it attaches with that single piece of hardware right there. And the way that it's cut and stuff, it just sits on top of the battery tray cover, and it really won't move. So I'm going to put a couple of scale accessories in there, but that thing's going to be there forever. And then this was the other fun one. This was the other cover. And speaking of wiring, and so this cover actually fits in here from the rear seat rail all the way down and back up and around the ESC at the dashboard, and it fits all the way down to that base tray. So that thing just sits in there like that, just like that. And there we go. So now the interior is done on the inside. Look at that. That is so spectacular. I just love the way that looks. It kind of hugs the driver's seat there. It gives the guy lots of room for his arms. It looks pretty dang good. And it covers over all of the mess, all the wiring, all that. But it's still serviceable if you did have to get in there. And that was the key. So these panels, of course, going to be unbolted to get at the wiring for the receiver and all the different kinds of joint plugs for the steering servo and all that. All those Y connectors are all in here. But if you have to get in from the top, this piece here, I'm actually just going to stick it on with a couple pieces of double-sided tape, because I want to be able to get it off fairly easily without it falling off, of course. So I'll put a piece of sticky tape here on top of the receiver, another couple pieces of sticky tape on this back bar, one more maybe on the speed control, just enough, just little tiny tabs of tape, because I want to make sure that it won't, you know, rattle off while you're driving around. But I don't want any hardware on it, actually. I like the fact that it's really clean like that. I did have to use this one piece of hardware because otherwise I would have had to cut a hole in it anyways to go around the hardware. So I just used the hardware to attach the base. And then that's it. So super clean. I'm really excited about that, actually. That's going to be great. It just looks so much better. And it doesn't impede the view of the dashboards at all. This one here still really visible with the camera, and the bottom one as well. And I'm hoping that I don't have to do any kind of tint work or anything on it. I haven't taken it out in the sun yet to find out. But what I'm trying to suggest is that if the camera is getting too much glare off of this bright finish, I may have to paint these black to get the glare off of them. They are pretty shiny. And what I don't want is anything that would impede the camera view while you're trying to drive FPV. So that's what's been going on with the interior. It's more or less done with the straps and the covers and the wiring tuck and then the checker plate and the roof mount for the camera and all that. And other than that, the camera has a plug here all by itself. And so this is a 5-volt camera. So what you do is you plug these two small pins into two of the balance port on the battery. Two plugs beside each other on the balance port. And you'll get a 5-volt reference voltage for the camera. And then of course the regular plug back here is the XT60 that runs the speed control. So that's the wiring update. And really excited about how this thing has been going. So although this video is pretty late in the coming, this truck has been out on the trail quite a bit. You can tell I've been running it around. It is so much fun. I wanted to make sure that all these complicated systems were actually fairly well tested before I actually took it out and drove it, because I didn't want it to have to be serviced after it was all finished. It's working great. I'm very excited about it. So for now, we're good to go. And in our next video, we should have the engine in it for its last time and the firewall done. And then this thing will be a finished product. So this is the last of the printing that we're going to do. I'm going to sketch these templates and actually put them on a file so that they could be reused by somebody if they wanted to make their own. And all of that stuff will be available with the 3D print files on our Patreon builders group. And we're off and running. So see you guys soon in the next one. Bye-bye.